I'm glad I met you before now.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. Okay, do you need me to introduce or anything, or say anything? Say that again, sorry, I will. I will indeed. It's absolutely fine. It's part of my life. I'm used to doing things like this. Well, a very, very good morning to everyone in the hall and also to all of our viewers who are watching at home. My name's Vanessa Latarche and I'm here this morning in Oxford to give a masterclass to two very talented young pianists, one who's going to play Scriabin Second Sonata and the other who will be playing the final movement of the Prokofiev Eighth Sonata after the break. We will start first of all, I think, with Harvey Lynn, who's going to play Scriabin Second Sonata, and he will be playing it through first of all the two movements, and then we will be discussing it after that. So we're looking forward to hearing you play. Please welcome Harvey. Certainly. Harvey. Thank you. So, before this class started, you said to me that it's a fairly fresh piece.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. And for a fairly fresh piece, it's very much on its way, and you know what you need. You're thinking very intelligently about what you want to do with the music, and certainly you've got the notes, you've got the general sort of sense of the sweep of the music, and in general you're getting a kind of good overview of it already. Some things need quite a lot of attention in terms of perhaps more detail and also more flexibility and more sense of line. The difficulty in this music, especially when it's very complex, you've got a lot of lines that are all running together, you know, lots of contrapuntal lines, and we have to sort that all out, which you've done to some extent, but you really need to knit them all together a little bit more carefully, and also to show the direction of those lines that you're in, because at the moment sometimes we get a bit stuck in the music, and it needs just a little bit more flow in some places, and also some feeling of space as well, and drama. So before we go into that, what do you know about this music?
Well, first of all, it's sort of a programmatic nature, and I guess the main theme throughout both the movements actually is the C, and how it sort of ebbs and flows, and the waves, of course, with both the dynamics and the rhythm. And it's very much, well, the first movement's very much improvisatory.
Right.
So, as you say, it should be quite flexible, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Well, absolutely. I mean, that's also very good, a good start to it. You probably know already then, in that case, what Scriabin said about this music, do you?
Yeah.
You read it, have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, for our audience here and at home, we can perhaps just tell them a little bit more about it. He said that the influence of the sea and the first movement represents the quiet of a southern night on the seashore. The development is the dark agitations of the deep, deep sea. And the E major section, which we'll come to in a moment, shows caressing moonlight coming after the first darkness of light. So he's very much sort of program that he gives us in terms of that first movement to play program music. And he gives us very much clear instructions. And you mentioned the word improvisatory, and I totally agree with that. Why do you think it has that element of improvisation?
Well, I guess in some respects you could say it's almost impressionistic, even though it's in sonata form. So how it's describing, you know, the moonlight and the sea and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. You know, when he wrote this originally, which was in around about, well, it was in over a period of about 5 years, between 1892 and 1897, which is, you know, he just finished at the Moscow Conservatory in 1892. He was a young man when he first started to write it. And he told his publishers that he felt that he was really struggling in some ways with his inner hearing. So he would sketch a few things and stop and sketch a few things later. And I think that in a way contributes to the improvisatory nature of it, because he feels, you know, perhaps when he played it, he made up bits in the middle, most likely. Who knows? I don't know. We have a piano roll of him playing it, but we don't know for sure in the first performance what he did, or when he was in his own room what he did either. But certainly it feels like it unfolds, doesn't it, as if it's a sort of improvisation, and that's where we really need to discover this music. And right from the beginning we have to have that sense of discovery and that wonderful opening, which is a sort of call to what's going to happen later on. So I think we have to tell a story, is what we're trying to say with this music, and also we know the story. We just need to make that even more convincing to the audience. Obviously at the moment you haven't committed it fully to memory. You obviously have some of it memorized, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. But you know, eventually when you've memorized it completely, you'll be more under control with some of the faster work as well, and some of the flow. So let's have a look from the beginning. This opening, he writes on it with pedaling all the way through. And I think you just, for me, at the beginning, you took off the pedal too early after you had this. There was too much silence immediately.
Yeah.
I think you want to have it, you know, we need to know where we're going. It's a little bit mysterious. We don't quite know where we are. We're thinking, okay, so 1, 2, where is it? Yeah, we have to rely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know this. Just be careful how you clear it, but not too abruptly, because you do this. It doesn't have that element of sustain. So just try the opening once again. I think the phrase goes from here to here to here to here, and then piano. So if you give up too early, it falls down. It wants to go towards that G sharp, I think. Just try it again from this second. Then away after that. No, but don't stop before it.
Oh,
Ta-dim,
yeah, okay.
ba-bum, 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 ta-ya-da-da. Yeah?
Yep.
It's towards. Ta-dim, ta-dim, ta-di. Okay, that's too much, but that's better.
Yep. Somewhere in between.
Somewhere in the air. That's right. You know, it's not black and white here. There's a little bit of grey in the middle. Yeah, a little bit, not quite so loud. Once again. Ta-dim, ta-dim, ta-di, ta-di, ta-di. Good. Again. Yeah. And the same with that phrase as well. Ta-di, ta-di, ta-di. If you do ta-ds, then it's hard to pick up the phrase. Keep it moving. Don't stop. Towards the A sharp, then and then this sort of drama which needs to be it's really exciting, and then it becomes very, you have to still, you have to use the silence as well a bit better.
Yeah. Yep.
So you just sit there and you're very obedient. You use the silence, okay, but I want to feel it from inside you. Huh?
Where shall I?
Let's do this from this second phrase. From there. That's it. Thank you. Go on. Lovely. That's better. I feel it's better. With these to me they're a little bit, they're nice, but they're too nice.
Right.
They don't. They just say da da da. They're a little bit too simplistic. For me, they need just a little bit more. Just maybe the weight on the first one. It's like when you hit a bell. Yeah. Beep, 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 and then the repercussions afterwards. So the first one goes bum, bing, 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 like that. So the first one, ba-dee-dee, like this, rather than just do da-da-da. But ta-da-ti-da, little bit more weight on the first one, just a little bit. Without, all these things are very much in moderation. And when we say these things in masterclass situation, sometimes somebody can take what we say, take it to the other extreme, and then the next week your teacher says to you, "Why are you doing that?" And it's because you've said, "Oh well, so and so told me to do that." Oh really? But actually, maybe a little bit, but sometimes we can take it just a bit too far. So just think ta-da-da, a little bit of weight on the first one of the triplets. Yeah, a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, now, are you going to make a decision about what you're going to do with your foot? Because it's a it doesn't know at the moment. It's kind of hesitating. Sometimes it's coming up a little bit, sometimes it's holding on. It doesn't know what to do. I think you have to hold and make a decision when you're going to bring it up. Yep. It's got a wonderful Steinway here that you're working on. Fantastic instrument, and it's doing exactly what you want it to do. So it's you that needs to control it. It's like having a Ferrari, you know. You've got everything you want there, but just control it. So once again, lift it up, lift it up. Good. For 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Wait and then decide. Okay. Well done. Okay, that's much better. And we're fragmenting. We're not really giving you a chance to play the whole of that introduction well, and I'm going to ask you to do it all in a moment. But before we do that, I just want to look at the way that we play the next subject, as it were, the first subject here, because we want to sing this and then we want the weight on the when he writes an accent, it's like a tenuto accent. It's a weighty one, so a little bit more sonority from the bass line, the G sharp, to show us we're in, you know, G sharp minor here, and also the light in the top of the fifth finger, pianissimo, yes, but it's light. It's very bright. So that has a little bit of weight. Okay, just let's try that, and then we'll go back and we'll do the whole of that introduction, and you're going to make it really, really dramatic, and you're going to think about the pedal and the rhythm. Yeah, would you consider using a unicorder for that? There's a lot of pianissimo here, isn't there?
Yeah.
So it's a question of whether you want to use it so early. For me, I think I would, but maybe I would also save it for that's such an amazing moment. But I think here I want to just show. I think I'd want to, personally, it just feels a bit loud. If you're not going to use it, then at least think down a bit.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we've had this. Different harmonies, right? So the colour, then again, we're talking colour with Scriabin. You know that he believed in synesthesia. Later, not so much earlier on as this, but later on, yeah. You know that?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Good. You've read a lot. That's good. Well, I think, you know, one of his writing is probably some of the most coloristic piano writing there is. So we have to really, really think about the sound quality and the change of quality when we've got that. So this I can't stretch that, can you?
Yeah.
You can? Amazing. Well, I'm impressed. In that case, you've no excuse that you can actually show that minor a little bit better. All right, that's fine. I think the other thing I would say about that's a lot better. Don't stop and start too much, but at the same time, it must breathe. So you've got da 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 da, then something da 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 da. then you've got that really, you know, sort of richness, and it's flowing, and it's deep, the cantabile. It's a little bit thin sometimes as well. But just keep it flowing, but breathe it. So when you've got these punctuated phrases, make sure they breathe.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go now from the beginning, as we did, because we said we'd go back there. Now we've had a chance to settle down. Think about the drama. Think about the way that you set this up. Think about this space, and thinking through those rests. Don't just sit still. You know, there's something going on inside you, even in the rests. So think through ta-da-dee. You're waiting and listening and waiting and listening for the next note, not you're just waiting.
Yep.
Right? Try it. Try the opening from you once again. Do you know the opening from memory?
Yeah.
Try it. It's much better if you can, because you can hear better as well. Good. Excellent. Go on. Yadam. Go on. Nice. Bravo. A lot of that was much better. If anything, I would say you waited just a little bit too long before you started that one. That was. But you were trying so hard and experimenting with this sort of more fantasy-like approach, which was much better. And certainly, I could really hear you listening better in that as well. And so, it's also about emotional engagement, and it's kind of quite hard to get inside this music if you are still on the outside as a viewer and performer, but you have to be inside, tucked right inside this music and understand this emotion and what this music means, which you do, but now you have to show that you understand it by feeling it and breathing it all the way through, not just approaching it from here. The sound isn't just from here and from there, but it's also from inside you, because you're producing that sound, and you're producing the speech in the music, if you like, the narrative. So a lot of engagement from you inside. Very good, well done. That's grand. I think also the fact that you can try to strive for more colours. You still didn't quite, for me, get this. That, to me, that's the most amazing moment. You know, it's just, it should be so tender. So think, ya-da-dee, and then it's like, do I dare touch that moment? It's so tender. Yeah, you'll be forgiven if you take too much time over it for now.
Yeah.
You can always hone that later, but I just think you need to show that a little bit more. And then the warmth of this. That's when it opens up and it's really, really singing. And this is beautiful. Ta da da dum. Sorry. Da 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 ya ya ta da da. It's full of these sort of appoggiaturas, this leaning, yearning appoggiatura is ta-ya-da. So you've got to feel that inside. Right. So let's just do let's do again from here, because we're doing great. And if you could just make the top fifth finger sing a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think so. Great. It's still a bit thick. Can you find that golden pinging sound? Bing! With the fifth finger. Good! Bit more. More. Thank you. Keep it moving. Thank you. Well done. Go on. Nice. Okay, well done. That's very good indeed. And that was much better. I felt suddenly something's happened, the light's gone on. Hooray! And we can actually hear what you're doing, which is great, and what you feel and what you mean. Very good. Now, when we have this, still the intonation of the sound is really important, and the singing of the cantabile in the right hand is very, even though it's piano, it still needs to carry. You don't want to be too quiet there, because you need, again, to drop down for this, then this. I would put that with the bass note, but it's entirely up to you, whichever you prefer. It just, for me, gives a little bit more sonority with the C sharp. And then you're going on, sorry. Then, he writes this, so that needs to be really shown. He says rubato and also tenuto marks. Have you got that on your score?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have. That's great. So that needs to speak. So don't lose your tone here. The depth is really important. Sing. Sorry. Perfect singing sound, not this pale, flimsy. You're trying to be quiet. Still sings. Okay. All right. Let's go from there. That's great. Nice. You drop too early. Drop too early. Ta-da-da-da-da, ta-dee. That's the important part of the phrase, and then drop down. So amazing, this music. Does it make you feel something in here?
I think so. Yeah.
You think? Oh, he thinks.
No,
You think. It's so incredible. You should have them all in, thinking absolutely in awe. You think more about it, because you really do. You're suddenly showing that you can feel it. So that's great. I love this. Ta-da-da-da. Very good sound, but going on to this, then away. All right. So from there again, once again. Nice. Good, Harvey. Lovely. Thank you very much. Going on to then away. Well done. Well done. Go on. Well done. Going on. do you know, this is getting better. All of a sudden, you started to click into the emotion of it, and that's really great. When I said about singing, that piano line, the cantabile line with the rubato, is much better this time. Who do you listen to when you listen to recordings of this?
I've listened to like Lugansky.
I was just going to say Lugansky.
Yeah.
Because why? What's so special about his playing of it? Do you think?
I mean, a lot of things, but maybe one, his flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Also, his cantabile touch.
Exactly, and that's what you're listening for, is this depth and goldenness in the tone. It's absolutely right. Yeah, good. Well, you're very well set up to have it absolutely perfect. By what you're telling me, it should be amazing. You've done all the bits, you've done all the homework, you know everything that you've listened to things as well, which is great. So now you've just got to reproduce it, but it's not reproducing other people's things, it's your own, personal.
Yeah.
So for that, you have to engage with your inner emotions. And to do that, that's when it needs to come out. Once you've done that, then you can fly. You can be anybody, you can do anything, which is great. Good. Okay. That's great. I think also the other thing I was going to say about this section is this very, very light in this right hand. It's decoration. Very, very like filigree lace, you know, really, really light. Very, very, very not stopping on it. Just let it run. So keep it very light. Can we just do from the section this? You've got like a counter melody. You've got a little duet building there. So here, both voices twine, you know, wind them in. Sorry, Harvey. One other thing. This is a habit, and I'm afraid I sometimes have it too. So just, you know, we all have it occasionally. Don't do this. Sorry. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Ta-da-da-dee. Go towards the top note. No? Once again. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much. It's a little bit direct. Now do a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, without stopping. Can you do it without stopping? Da 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 da, but ta da da dee. Just simple. Yes. Good. Good. Going on. Light. Yeah, again. Yes, thank you. Very good. Go on. Espressivo. Yeah. Ta da da. Espressivo. It's a singer. Ta da da. So don't be a little pale. Keep moving. Keep moving. Going on. Well done. Left. Okay, well done. All right, now that's good. And you know that from memory, and you're playing it very well, which is absolutely fine. And you're more free as well. So be confident that you know it, really. Maybe there are bits that you don't know, and that's why you're a little bit worried about it. But certainly, you know what you're doing here. Now, that time around, you kept the flow, and the line of the melody was much more logical. The first time, when you were trying to read it, you were cutting it up, so it was becoming fragmented. Dee da dim da 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 dee da dee da. like that, instead of one long line. That time was beautiful because you kept it going. Absolutely great. And then also the sonority of this, these basses. This is the first time you've got so... Sit down on those harmonies, enjoy them a little bit more. That's the most wonderful opening up, you know, of the C there. It's just, you can see the vast expanse. So make sure that, let's hear it. Now, also, when you have this tired, be careful that it's not too slow. Doesn't want to be too quick either, because it's easy to do that when you're snatching the right hand. But be careful, it's just a little bit too pedantic with this rhythm. Okay, and one other thing, where we've just stopped, when we've got this in, don't get too quiet too soon, because you've got to come all the way down. And then drop. You're down from there. But if you keep it, if you drop too soon, then the piece just sort of becomes limp again and doesn't end with that section with authority. It just sounds as if you're just fading away into the distance, and it shouldn't. It should sound as if it's finished with this richness. You think about the orchestration of that, and then you start again. Okay? Yeah. Can we just do, you did very well with this. From where it starts the melody, yeah? And keep it going. Careful. It's a bit quick now, be careful with it. Okay. Keep it up. Keep it up. Something doesn't go right. Giveaway, big giveaway, yeah? Actually, by doing that, you're disturbing yourself even more. Just keep your focus. Right? Just think, open up at that moment. And this F sharp. A little bit more F sharp, but again, more sound in the thumb to make it sing. Okay, just go back on that, please, from where you was from that would be this one. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That goes all the way through. Yeah, that's a fantastic register. It's so rich. You know, we're just playing there, so that nothing matters. It does. Enjoy it. Yeah, not so much the right hand actually, because the left hand's not going to overpower you. It's so low. You're listening for sonority, not for cantabile in that respect. You're wanting richness. So the richness is down here, right down there. Depth of the sea. Yes. Okay, and then immediately. Yeah, absolutely. So you know. You'd be a really good teacher, Harvey, because you know everything. Now just apply it. Yeah, that's right. Very good. Once again. And then apply it. Oops, sorry, she says. So very pianissimo. Yeah, but you'll have to clear the pedal, won't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard, isn't it? He writes with the pedal. I think if you do too much of this at the end, the voicing of it, you want to hold the pedal all the way through, but if you sometimes when you've got pedaling being held through, you need to listen to the voicing of the colour. If you do too much after that, voice that too much, this sound is there. But if you voice it very quietly, it's not as bad. And then this will sing through okay. So you need to use your ear very carefully about the texture and the voicing, so that with the pedaling that it works. You can get away with lots of things, and you can make the what he expects you to do is the sonority of that figure, if you like, to be blurred, but at the same time it wants it, yeah, a little bit more sort of voiced carefully, because otherwise it's just going to sound thick. That's nothing, isn't it? Do, 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 da, da, da. You don't need that end. Once again from here. Okay. Now, can you, good, better, can you also give me again this wonderful thumb? I love the thumb. It's fantastic. It can do all sorts of things, and it can really be rich, especially in this register. Right, so this. Right, it's very much Russian voice, you know. It's a bit low, almost too low for a mezzo, but it's this kind of deep-throated Russian singer, right? So you want to hear it again. Okay, well done. That's coming really well. Now, when we start this section, this is development section. Da da dee, ta da. This is important. Ta da dee. So you're playing that very quietly, but we don't, which you should because it's piano. But it is part of what you want to hear. Ta da dee, and then ta da dee, and then. All of those are really important. Each one is a bit bigger each time. But the first one, don't lose it. You're talking behind your hand at the moment with it. It's a bit, yeah. Ti-da-dee. Yeah, okay, very good. That's great, much better sound. That's what you're aiming for. All this stuff in the middle is quicker. But you don't want to hear da da da. Doesn't make sense. So da da dee. Use your ear. Yes. Da, 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 da. Good. Yeah, don't rush those. Yeah. Ta da. Now, go on. Right, okay, now, no. We don't want to do this like this with a thumb, right? You've got to use a little bit more of the weight because it's a little bit too, it's a bit harsh, yeah. So listen, again, a question of listening and adjusting to what you're doing. It's rich. Where does the sonority come for that at fortissimo? Yeah, exactly. There's your cushion. Sit on it, not this. It's horrible. It's like hits you in the face. You don't mean it. There's not an aggressive bone in your body, I know that, but don't do it. So just listen really carefully. Try it. And then Okay, go back on it from this, from there. Go again. Go on. Good. I was going to stop you, and that's fair enough. Now, I want you to do it again. This time I want you to do it with full feeling inside you, and if it's too much, we'll tell you.
Okay.
They'll tell you.
Yeah.
But don't give in. You know, don't think, oh, I've got to just, you know, hold back because I'm polite. It's emotional. This is the big climax of the section, and then after this, you get the most incredible E major section, which he talks about in his writing.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's also think about the pull behind this. Well, we've got this ta-ya-da-da, and then we've got ta-ya-ta-ta. He puts it into a triplet after semicolon, which is like, to me, it's the most. It's saying this is intense. Ta-ya-da-da, ta-ya-ta-ta. It's more insistent the second time because it's in a triplet. So it's pulling, right? And then you really have to unleash your excitement when you get to this big climax and go forward. And also the other thing to say is the left hand, don't beat it. They are connected. At the moment they're a little bit like that. So try and connect them. Ta-dee-da, wa-da-dee-da. Even the left hand has that connection the whole way through. Bounce along. No. Connect everything. All right. Lots to think about. Let's go back a little bit from here. Exactly. Now, one. Go on. Thank you very much. It's coming now. It's coming. I'm starting to feel that you're more relaxed as well. It's partly to do with the fact that you feel more relaxed in this environment now as well too. This section, we're in E major, and we know that in his synesthetic way, he sees E major as a sort of bluish sea tint. Which is, again, is very, very bright, if you like, and he often uses E major for his sort of seascapes and landscape, the seascapes particularly. Also, we know that Rimsky-Korsakov also thought that way. and did the same. So this is really bright key, you know, from going from here to this. It's quite shocking. So, shocking in a good sense. So the light that you can find in the top voice, which you did actually very beautifully there, you really have to think imaginatively and creatively, because it's not just another load of notes. It's actually a completely different key, and it's a different colour, again, thinking of him and his colouring. So please think about that very carefully. Yeah, you could still take, breathe, I think. Breathe, just breathe. I still sense you don't breathe quite as much as you want to. The climax was good, it was coming. It's a bit, just a little bit noisy, because it needs just a little bit more care with balance and the way that you grade those crescendos, but it certainly was unleashed some temperament, which was good to hear. So I think it's coming. Just, you know, think about that bass line and how you shape it. Good. Now, bearing in mind the time here, we probably need to move on a little bit, just to talk a little bit about the second movement, which it's interesting, isn't it? This two-movement sonata. You know, he's thinking. We know that one of his main influences was, of course, Chopin in the early days. He was a this great cantabile of Chopin that we hear in his preludes, the same in Scriabin preludes too. But we also know that he was, you know, very into sort of classical form. Obviously, writing in this two-movement form is a little bit like Beethoven writing in two movements. And you know, you think about the F sharp major, the Opus 78. You've got that slow introduction, lyrical movement, and then you've got the very fast second movement, which is the same as this. Of course, not the same, but very different. But the same idea with this very sort of stormy and turbulent, although it's much brighter key. This is a minor key, of course. So it's kind of a little bit of a food for thought there about how he planned the two movements. In this part of his programming of the music, he says that this movement represents the vast expanse of the ocean, stormily agitated. So it's got to feel like it's really. Where is the agitation?
Well, first the waves, the dynamics crescendo.
Yes.
And then, I guess, then the texture sort of, it gets thicker and then it becomes thinner again.
Mm-hmm.
All of that.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
Ocean's very deep.
Yeah.
And, you know, very murky. Do you dive?
I don't dive.
No. Scary. I think it's very scary. You only know how deep it is if you dive, I think. But no, it's really very, very, but it's also fantastic. And to be on the ocean in a boat or a ship is a fantastic feeling as well, especially when it's calm. But if it's a bit rough, you know, this agitation of the waves that are out in the middle of the ocean, which is what he's referring to. I think it's this, the agitation is this. It shouldn't sound like a march. It's not that kind of thing. So you need to think a little bit more to this, and this in this, and then you've got. So just slightly highlight the tops of them so that you hear those instead of all the da 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 da. It's not a toccata. Okay, just try once for me. Good. Okay, right. This is like 100 times better than the first time you played it.
Right.
Why?
I'm not too sure. I guess I never thought about. I always thought about it as sort of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
All each of the notes, but now I've got sort of a melody to follow.
Yeah. Well, a line.
A
yes,
line, yeah.
that's right.
Line.
Yeah. Well, it helps you. Yeah. of course, when you practice it to get the real articulation, we do think of every single note, you know.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes where practicing something like that so much that you articulate all the time, it just becomes just like a mathematical exercise. We're not really listening to the music that's behind it and what the music means. And it's hard sometimes because it's not immediately apparent. If you look at that score, if you took the score away from the piano and you looked at it and you thought, okay, what do I do with this? Is it just lots of fast notes with the left hand going bump, 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 which is what it looks like. But actually when you play it, and even if you play it slowly, like we were just talking about, you can pick out a line and a phrase. So by doing that, it helps you understand it a little bit more, and the urgency behind this music, which is there. At the moment, it's much better than it was the first time. Really good. With the left hand, it doesn't want to be too clipped. The first time you played it was very... Yeah, it was too staccato. It was, because it's not that kind of thing. I don't think it bobs up and down like that. It's kind of this insistent left hand that's there, so it's a little bit longer. And as you did, the articulation could still be better, but at the moment the music is there, which is coming much better. And you also felt it. You felt the rise and fall of the waves, which is much better. So well done. When you've got, sometimes it opens. He writes ta-dee. He writes a tenuto. So show us ta-dee-da-dee each time. All right? And then you've got, well, very hard. This is very difficult. Well, I commend you because it's jolly hard. You're doing a good job. But just think a little bit more about the voicing of the line. Just try once again. Think. It's more mysterious. This, isn't it? Because you've got to pick out this. You've got this in both hands, so you want to show that if you can. We're missing some of them. We've got a few pegs that are missing in the right. It doesn't quite make sense, so we want to hear every single one, all the pegs in the right place. From here. Go on, left hand. Think about the change. Think immediately. Change, yes? Don't listen to, react. Yeah, good. That's good. Come on. Oh, just that's amazing moment. There is finally a melody that emerges from all this. So let it sing, right? It says ben marcato il canto. Ben marcato. Sing markedly. Yeah, with marking it. Breathe. Come on. Come on. Go on. Good. exactly. Good. Left. Keep it now, rich. Rich. Duets. Change. That's it. Good. Well done. Left. Left. Going on. Come on. We're going to build. Steady. Steady. Yeah. We're going to go up. Deep bass. Relax those arms. Go on. Go on. Go on. Now we're even more rates. Okay. Well, you can just, I know it's very good now, much better. You can, and then these, then all of them, I know you've got to move very quickly in the left hand, but each of them, you can just open up a little bit more and use a bit more weight to get even bigger sound, because it's fortissimo at this moment, and then just use your back. Use your back to get your tone, not the tiny pinching. I know you've got to move, but take time to do it, because it's the climax. So it needs the time. So you've got, you need to create the space by being big. Inhabit and grasp this instrument. This is yours. This is you. It's an extension of you if you use your back. Not you just sitting there playing nicely. Yeah? Okay, let's just do from here. Very good. Sit up. Sit up and grin. Exactly more. Keep it going. Does it feel enough to you? Is it too much of it? Is it a shock at the moment? It's a bit predictable. Is it, yeah. No, I think so, not. Hold it. It's loose. Ta. Yes, hold it. Mean it. Same again. Bit more.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. You should be red-faced, you know. You should be thinking, oh, so hot. Not cool. So you should be absolutely like this, as if you've really had a workout. It's really exciting. No, you know it very well, really. You know, just need that confidence of being able to play it like that, and the commitment, and to be convincing as well. You know, everything that you say, Harvey, is good. Everything that you do is very good. It's all in good taste, and it's all in, you know, you've had very good advice, and all the things that you do are correct in some ways. Just needs now to get under the skin of the music a little bit, and to understand the emotion of it, and to understand You understand the programming of it, but you need to show that a little bit more and feel this real drive in it. Because if you don't, it's kind of half-baked. It's like a cake that's half-baked. It's all soggy in the middle. It's horrible. Do you watch Bake Off?
No.
I'm a big fan. But you watch, people with soggy bottoms, as they say. They're soggy on the cakes. It's just a little bit, oof. It needs to be full and really rich. And then it's going to be fantastic. And if you're committed to what you do, and if you're really convinced, then your audience will come away saying, wow, that was amazing. Yeah. Because you've conveyed what the composer wants to them. You've said what he's saying, and you've given it over to him. Okay. All right, Harvey, thank you very, very much. It's a great pleasure. Well, we'll see you again during the week, but thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're going to have a break, probably about 20 minutes or so for now for coffee, and then we'll see you back. Well done.
Yeah,
well
thank
done.
you.
Nicholas, is it Nicholas? Is that how I say your name? Ventura?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Good, well, welcome back everybody, and good to see you here again, and welcome back to our viewers online. And for the second half of this masterclass this morning, we're going to be working with wonderful pianist Nicholas Ventura, who will be playing both the second and the third movements of Prokofiev's Sonata number 8. Please welcome Nicholas. Thank you. you. Okay, so interesting. I'm glad that you played the second movement as well, because this gives us much more, obviously a bigger picture of you. It's a shame we couldn't have time for the whole thing, but it's such a vast sonata, isn't it? Such a big chunk of meat, if you like. And yeah, and it's such just a big, hefty work. Right, so time for us to know a little bit more from you about what you know about this music. You obviously know a lot about it because you've got to grips with the notes and also, of course, the character you understand very much. But what do you know about it?
In general, specifically about these?
About this music.
I consider this sonata definitely the peak of Prokofiev's piano works.
Yeah.
And in a way, it summarized so many things, definitely from the first pieces of composition, but even from the so-called war sonatas.
The wars, yeah.
And in a way, probably second and third movement are a bit more traditional in composition style.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first one is this huge narrative.
It is. It's a
structure.
very, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's the culmination of those of us here listening. Just to explain, I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but in case you're not, the three sonatas, number 6, 7, and 8 of Prokofiev, were classed as the war sonatas, obviously written during the wars, and very much this one, the last of the three. They were apparently written so that people say they were written simultaneously, which I find extraordinary. You know, he wrote a little bit of number 6 and a little bit of number 8, and then which seems extraordinary, really. And this one is interesting because it's, I mean, number 7 is obviously the one that everybody knows and knows very well. Of course, this very, very popular played. This one not so much because of the sheer the vast, the sort of ability to be strong for such a long period of time, particularly the first movement, which is huge in terms of its structure, and to have that vision of the whole piece, which is very difficult to bring off in public. But you certainly have started to do that very well with the second and third movements that I heard today, which is great. So it's the last one of the three, and it's the one that, in a way, signifies, I suppose, to some extent, the hope after the end of the war. You know, this music comes from the Stalin era, merciless, brutal, just really powerful, very strong, but very, in some ways, really quite violent, and yet through that we get this extraordinary music. And by the time we get to sonata number 8, the last of the war sonatas, one starts to feel that this is life-affirming actually, and becomes a little bit more, in some ways, a little bit more hope here, and a little bit more triumph. You could almost see at this moment, especially towards the end of the last movement, which I think we need to find a bit more, is a little bit more of the hope and victory that was happening, because this was finished, I think, in around 1944. 44, yeah. And so, of course, the end of the war. So at this moment, one is feeling more victorious, and at that he would have been very much a part of that, and his music reflects that too. And it's not program music in the same way as in a way that the Scriabin that we heard earlier is, but nonetheless, it has many features of thinking about war and sort of marching and fear. I think it's also got Prokofiev has very much his own style, hasn't he? He's not, you can't, if you sat down and you listen to that, you'd say, yes, that's Prokofiev. It's so clear. What is special about his style? It's a good question, isn't it?
I think it is very difficult to put that feeling in words. Mm-hmm. When you hear it, you know, but you don't know why.
Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, he was one of the great melody writers of the early 20th century, and people forget that because they forget the operas and all the other sort of things. And when we think about the second movement here that you've just played, of course, that was originally taken from themes that he'd already used in, you know that already. from, I think it was Eugene Onegin or something, and
yes.
also what was the other piece of the film? I've made some notes here.
Film.
Yeah, there was a film.
Alexander Nevsky.
Yes, that's right. So he had these sort of melodies of that he used from in other pieces. He was a great one for going back and using his previous themes. And you can kind of sometimes hear some of the connections of the themes in the sonatas as well. You can hear some similar things. You think, oh yes, which sonata is that? You know, because it reflects some of the others too. So, but he's very distinctive. He was somebody who was very much like, there's this you can really feel the moment of that the aura that was around him, the feeling that was around him at that time, and you can feel it in this music very, very strongly. It's more, really obvious. If you play it, everything that you do, if you do what says on the music, you can really portray this strength of character. And it might look simplistic on the score. It's not at all. It's very, very difficult to find that character and that sort of, merciless feel that we need to experience in the last movement anyway. And it's very unique in terms of he is obviously, of course, every composer is influenced by who goes before them. And sometimes some composers influence more than others. For instance, Scriabin with Chopin, that was very much here. But here, Prokofiev said himself in his biography that he doesn't wear masks. In other words, he doesn't use people and wear masks is very it's a very topical piece of conversation perhaps, but he doesn't wear masks of other composers. In other words, he doesn't hide behind this others' feelings and thoughts and also their ideas. He's very much his own person, and I think that's really important to remember that this is totally unique. And at the beginning of the 20th century, something really extraordinary. We know, don't we, that it was dedicated to his partner at the time, second wife, yeah, and also that Gilels did the first, Emil Gilels did the first performance of it. So we know this kind of solid Soviet, background to the music, and in some ways, some of the Soviet performers of the time, particularly those that knew Prokofiev, really get this music totally. It's heavyweight and perhaps sometimes not as fast as more modern recordings, but still this real sort of, core of what the music's about, which is inside them as well, because obviously they lived through this era too, so they understand it. Same, I suppose, to some extent, could be said of Richter, who also, of course, played it too. So we know we have this legacy of this tremendous recording of people who knew Prokofiev and who knew the times that they lived in, and that, to some way, goes to explaining what the music's really about. So we listen historically, of course, to those recordings and those performances, and there are many of them. Recordings of them available for you, and then we look forward as well to how we would see this music going forward in the 20th and 21st century, and how with fresh ears and fresh eyes, and for people like ourselves who haven't experienced that war in the same way, or certainly the war in Russia anyway, then we're looking at it with different eyes and listening with different ears from them, but we must be informed by them. So very, very important then. First of all, the second movement, as I said, that he was a great melody writer, which people forget. And this to me is very much it's very kind of, he says he writes andante sognando, which means dreamy, right? Sort of walking but in a dream. It's like in a fog, like you can't quite see what's happening, and it's got some, you can imagine, the smokiness of the time, the feeling of the time, this kind of uncertainty, but still also there's deep hope. So in some ways it's a little bit like Mac the Knife, this kind of the German side to it too. But you've really got to try and make it sing dolce, but not too, it's not too direct. So it's a little bit more covered. Yours was singing beautifully, and you absolutely, great sound, I love it. You really thought very well about it, but you could be a little bit more covered, just a little bit more uncertain. Could we just try the opening of the second movement? Is it possible to be a little bit more creamy with the legato? It feels, I think the pedaling's just a little bit too dry for me. I think because of this fogginess, it needs to be a little bit more, just a little bit more legato. Good. Yeah, any chance to do that with the finger as well? No. Yeah, okay, fine, yeah. Okay, once again. Good. Good. Okay, right, to me this opens up a little, use your score please. This opens up to a little bit more different character. So this opening D flat major we have, he refers to D flat major quite a lot in the key we're in B flat most of the time. He uses D flat later in the last movement as well, doesn't he? In this, that stuff. So he comes back to it a lot, but this starts off by being very kind of covered, rich but relaxed. And then this one, that's clearer to me. That's not quite so. That's a little bit more singing. A little bit more open and a little bit more optimistic when you've got this one, but this one, the harmony changes. So try to think about the characterization a little bit. Just do it from the beginning again, it's fine. Cover, legato. So all is well, but it's not all well, is it? Everything's fine until this. This is reminding us it's not all well. Yeah. So that really needs to be piercing. So yes, but not. Yes, but no, but. Yeah. We don't sound too notey, and by that I mean we were da da ba dee da dee da da. It's very correct, but I don't feel that it has any shape. This goes to ta dee da da. You don't see da da. So ta da da da. towards somewhere instead of it sounds a little bit like yeah. I mean, you have to be like that in the last movement. You have to be very clear cut. But in this you need to mold the sound a little bit better. So it's ta-ya-da-dee. So just show us where you're going a little bit more carefully rather than so straightforward. Good. All those scrunchy notes, all of those, but don't hear them, but hear all the harmony. It's much a little bit more juicy than you're making it. So we're just hearing one note, no, but even though it's dolce, I think it still wants. You want to hear everything. Very good. When we have the beat before that, this left hand, I think you could think the shape coming up and then going up way. It's like raising up. Again for hope. Think hope, not sadness here. Do you mean to do that? Is that what you want to do by slightly separating the pedal?
Yeah, that was the idea.
Your idea?
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to keep it like that because I'm not averse to it. I just wanted to know if it's your ideas. Yeah. For me, it feels just a little bit pedantic, a little bit, just a bit. But if that's the idea, then you've got to convince me better.
Right. Sure.
So, because at the moment, like, I'm not sure you're convinced by it yourself. So perhaps maybe with a diminuendo, slightly separated, a little bit more, but. What's going on here, do you think?
I feel like from this time's really just
standing
stops.
Still, yeah. Exactly.
In just memories from a not so happy past.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we go back to the dreaminess that we had, which he gives us as the title. Totally right, I agree. And he writes Tranquilla as well. So again, it's more. So your ear has to be a little bit more attentive to the quality of the dreaminess that you're giving it, the quality of the sound. Because again, we're hearing a little bit too much of this. We hear, each beat or each quaver beat. And it doesn't really work. It's not dreamy. You want to be just a little bit more sort of not quite so beating it through with the notes, but just a little bit lighter, perhaps, is what I'm trying to say, and less H1 direct. Right. Yeah. again. Keep it still. Still. Going on. Left. Okay. So before you start that melody, you've got to take your time, and then it's the restart, isn't it, of your opening melody. So breathe as if you're and announce it. As you're there, you know, it's like you're giving an introduction, if you like, to singer. He needs to announce it's coming. Otherwise it just happens, and then by the time we get to, we realise it's a melody, but we need to know before. So we need to point it out, direct your audience to this. Can we do from the Tranquillo before you?
Yeah.
Very rich now with all these melodies. Now this is a point that, you know, he says he's not influenced by anybody else, but he's clearly he knows his Bach as a musician, because he knows the counterpoint. So you need to just show them a little bit, because it's rich. It's one of the biggest moments in the movement. The movement's not loud, but this is I would say probably the peak of this particular part. So just let's hear every note, every melody come through, all the counter melodies as well, before we go back down again to this fog. So bring it up. So this is the beginning of it there, and then it gets climbed with all these lines, and all of these ta-da-da-da-dee, ta-da-da-da-da, they all tumble out. Listen to all of them and let them weave in and out so you can hear them all. Try once again. Das loose. That's it. Yes. Good. Good. Last melody. That's it. Simple. Exactly. Yes, much more expressive. It just needs that kind of, you know, it's difficult to play, but it's not impossible. You just need to find find the right feeling for the music. It's straightforward and just as it is, away, nothing. It's not warm, it's just cold, but dirty. Right, and then we get to this gigantic last movement, which is what you originally put down to play, which is great. You know, this there are a variety of tempi that you hear as we discussed it, and yeah, Queen of Spades. That was the film. Sorry, yeah, I just remembered. And various themes that he pulled on that. This one, I think, is sort of this. It needs to have the energy and the facility. And you know, when we talked about this in the last movement of the Scriabin, which was very different, very, very different. This is more like I wouldn't say it's like toccata such as kind of toccata such, but it's more like tarantella. Mm-hmm. He's Prokofiev. You know, do you know what tarantella is?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you do. You're Spanish, right? Or
Italian.
Italian. Excuse me. Well, you know what tarantella is, for sure. And so this is you know, this kind of dancing. He has it. He uses tarantella a lot, Prokofiev actually, and it's quite unusual. We don't normally think of this as a tarantella, but it has that twist on it, which gives it that energy which you need. So every note is important. And then when you get to this bit, pin it, pin the articulation. Articulation is a little bit soft. It's a little bit soft in the hand. It's like nailing it, you know. I think did he say that one of the, was it Gilels? I think he said, Prokofiev said that absolutely nailed the Seventh Sonata. He said it was just fantastic. He nailed it. It was fantastic. It's colloquial Russian, I think. Right. But it means he absolutely got it. He got it. He understood it. And that's why he wanted to do the first performance of the Eighth Sonata, yeah. So he understood this kind of this fierce, ferocious feeling to it. So, exciting to start with. Articulate like crazy in the right hand. Let's not have to. No lazy fingers. Articulate them. No? Yeah, I'm wondering, Nicholas, if you do. If it's possible for you to hold those longer chords, because through this because when you get to there, you've lost it, and you need to feel the harmony through it. I think it makes it even more ferocious. Same thing with that. You want to hear that. Good indeed. I think what you're doing, your hand is quite soft, and I mean you're thinking of. So you're throwing. It's a little bit almost too loose, and I don't know. Maybe you've had issues with tension before. I'm not sure, but. Maybe you've been encouraged to be very loose, so that's a good thing. But sometimes we can be too loose, so that the staccato then sounds a little bit. It's like it's too, as if you're as if you're not pointing it enough. So it's it needs to be more of a finger rather than just. Obviously, one needs to use the wrist. If you think about like pecking, like a bird pecks for food, like this, down, throw down. Not this. Too much wrist is too thin. Yeah, very good. Yes, that's good. Every note. Exactly. Yeah, nail it, right? Good. Good. Very good. That was terrific. It was really good. It came to life. I could feel it. I could feel the excitement in the energy in the staccato. Much better than the first time. It's a little bit pale.
Yeah, I was doing completely different.
Yes.
Staccato sound.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Which, yeah.
Really what you need. That kind of is so much more exciting. Now, when you have this, I don't like what you're doing there. I think it's too much left hand. So it's too thick. You know, maybe a little bit more thumb and if you treat them all equally, it doesn't really feel like it has any shape again. Da 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 dee da dee da dee. So you know, think da da da. Go towards that.
So is it less right hand as well?
No, more right hand.
More right. Okay.
I think because you know from what I'm hearing from there, it felt very too brutal, and we don't want to be that brutal at that moment. It was just a little bit too thick for my taste. This is something you can take away and discuss. No. Your teacher who may say no, who doesn't agree, fine, that's okay. But it's just for a listener. You need to be a bit more discerning with the texture. You know, one always has to be thinking almost how it's coming across, and if it's coming across as a thick sound, it's hard for us to realize and to understand what's going on. Yeah, because it's just too thick, and I think, oh, okay, what was that? You're left cold.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry to stop you there. Very good. Now, when you have these those, I think they need to be, the fifth finger's not very strong. Sorry. Yes, and then it needs to arrive on the fifth finger. Yeah. And the other thing, Nicholas, very good indeed. When you get to this stuff, it's like this, you know. When you have like a zither, do you know this instrument? Like a Hungarian instrument where you strike the thing. It's what it sounds like to me. This. So that G sharp to A is really important. Yeah. So we want to hear and hear the A as well because he accents the A. So you want to hear that, yeah, rather than the connection between that G sharp and the A is like a zither. Yeah. And like when you have the pedal, and it comes off, like this with off a string, and you sometimes get a zing when you lift. Not on these because these instruments are great. I can't demonstrate it, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Sometimes you play on a piano, it's not so good, and it does that. Same thing. I think that's the effect. Right. So with the accents on the top a little bit, not accents but sense of arrival, and then coming down. so lots of this coming on. Be careful with this da, da, when you're da, da, which you're trying to show very well, but if you showed, it shouldn't feel effortful. It shouldn't feel as if you're making a huge effort. Da, 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 da. So, da, da, dee, da, dee, dee, da. It feels a little bit like you're trying too hard.
Okay.
You know, so, I know why you're doing it, because it's physically very hard to do. But just don't give yourself like a nod on each beat. Da da dee da dee. So just sit still and play da da dee da dee da dee da 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 da. Think about the overall line rather than that, not this. And it's so difficult to do. Very good. Now, one other thing. When we came back to our zither, you give a lot of top E. I'm wondering about more A. It's probably a bit better than too much of this. Then you hear that better. So that's something you can work on. So don't give me every beat with an accent. Da 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 da. It's where you practice it. You know, that's the way we practice. So da 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 da. Comes out then when we play it, because we play like we practice, and we shouldn't. Da dee da ya da dim ba 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 da 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 da. Even that. Think through them, huh? Anyway, you like. This section, this C major, little transition section before we go back to this. Before we do this to me, you know, we're still feeling the terror in the music, absolutely, but at that moment it feels to me a little bit more heartwarming. It's like there's something about C major that we feel, okay, we're at home. It's a little bit more joyful. It's hard to see joy in this music, but I think here it needs to be a little bit more as if you're okay. Yes, you're getting there. So all of that, and then you get to. It's not quite finished, you know. We get a moment, a glimpse of what life might be like, which is there in the C major section, right. But it's not. It's not over yet. Before the fat lady sings. Exactly. So absolutely not. So let's just do that perhaps just a little bit before, and then get to that and think, you know, think a little bit as if the light is beginning to shine. Then go back to your da 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 da.
Okay, already.
Yeah, from there, yeah. Yes, great, go. Okay, this is interesting, this section, isn't it? Because, very good, that's coming alive. I'm beginning to feel the character. You know, characterization is a very difficult thing to find, especially if you're a little bit nervous. But you have to know, you have to have some ideas and to visualize something so that it helps to understand the music and make sense of it. Here in this section, then, he gives us Allegro ben marcato. This is a section where we go into D flat major, which is the same key he gives us for the slow section, but it's a very, very different feel about this. What is the feeling here? do you think? I mean, it's in 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's really curious to me, because it's not a waltz. Well,
In a way.
it has a slight. Sometimes it has a funny. It's kind of a lopsided waltz. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in this way he tried, as you were saying, to connect as well, not by only D flat major, but also this feeling of
singing and things. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, Boris Giltberg said about this part of it that it's war, but it's war in your face, which is marching towards you with dead eyes, and it's not pleasant. And I think, I mean, that's a really good quote, and it feels like that. You know, somebody walking towards you, scary, with dead eyes.
Mm-hmm.
There's some scary movie, you know. And to me, it feels like a march, but a march in 3 time, which is really bizarre. A march waltz / waltz, but absolutely the rhythm of it is important. Yeah, so the syntax is important, the stress of it. You feel that inside you, that energy, and the fact that it goes on and on like this. It builds, it builds up to this big climax with this amazing, it should feel insistent, not giving up.
Right.
You cannot allow it to run away from you.
Mm-hmm.
March on with dead eyes. Whoa. Try it. Absolutely strings. Good. Very good. Rhythm. That's it. Yeah. Getting a bit fuller. Good. Coming up. Coming closer. Closer. Yeah. Come close. Yes. Oh, good. Good. Now you're early. Yeah, it's a presempitando. You should a little bit going forward. Yeah. Good. Terror. Yes. exactly. Breaking up. Now, this makes much more sense because we've had this incredible event that's happened in the middle. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And so your audience are taken on this journey of understanding exactly what you mean. And before it wasn't logical because they didn't feel that you really kept up, you know, that rhythm. You know, sometimes it's about self-belief when you're playing as well. You have to really believe what you're saying is right and what you feel and what you strongly believe in. You have an opinion on it. And if you're too nice or you don't have an opinion on something, it comes across as being a little bit as if not convincing. It's like, oh, well, what happened then? I don't really understand this music. It was very clear to understand that section. Audience, I'm sure, were taken with you because it had this huge arc. Yeah. And then we could feel this coming down, this coming where the music starts to break up and we get these fragments of the previous melodies coming in and the reminiscence and the nostalgia of the music, and also confusion. It's kind of, we're dazed. Like Tom and Jerry, the cartoon where the cat sort of completely dazed. It's just like that. It's completely round in circles. And then we go back to this bizarre passage, which is like a transition back to this again. And this is, again, tonally, is very difficult to understand because it's completely different from anything we've had before. It's another theme, another moment, but it's the piece of the drama that's essential to bring the music right back before we start up for the last part. So, at this moment, you're very good at judging the moments, but because the structure didn't quite hang together when you played it the first time, it was because we didn't have that incision, the incisiveness in the playing. It was just a little bit soft and wasn't really, not soft in sound, I mean soft in pulse and tempo. Is it a little bit too nice?
I think sometimes one thinks that it's such a long session with this non-stop rhythm. Maybe I have to do more things to make it more clear.
Yes. But
probably it's just the opposite, especially in this.
I think because it's it's just, that's so exciting. He said it builds inside us and we feel this, fear as well, but also this sense of triumph when it comes forward too. So it's very, very exciting. Now it's fantastic. That was fantastic. But the first time, So belief. Well, you can do anything if you believe what you're doing, because you'll convince us. Think and really work towards that. Very good. Now you have this andantino, which is very, very bizarre, and then as soon as we get to here, I need you to put your cap on again, absolutely back to where you were again, the same. So after you've had this dreamy, again, sognando stuff, which again he's using a little bit here, although he hasn't written that, but it's the same idea as the slow movement. So can we go from the andantino and then take it back to the tempo primo, where it really cuts again and starts to become more, yeah? very difficult. This last couple of pages is very hard. This is where it becomes much more exuberant, right? Isn't it? And you know, all that previously heard material that we've heard in the second and the third movement, and some of the first movement too, it's kind of coming in thematic materials, coming in quick succession. There are bits of this and bits of that and bits of this and that. And that's what we have to show, all of those things. So it's a kind of like organized bit of thematic material all thrown together. But it needs to be really, really sort of, again, convincing. Now, I don't like, again, I'm sorry to say, this is the way you play. It's again, you're showing us a little bit, I mean, I know it's very hard technically, but you're still beating with your body too much. Yeah, on all of those, that's da 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 dee 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 da dee da da. It needs, you need to think across them rather than they are chiming, and there is a sense of victory here, which there should be. But I just want to be. I don't want it to feel like it's a struggle anymore. I know it is a struggle. This is hard, but it mustn't sound like that. So, and you're making it sound a bit hard work. I'm wondering if you might hold this. You want to hear that through all of those. Sorry, I don't play this, but I think you might just want to hear that just a little bit more. It's a thunderous B, absolutely thunderous, and it helps us with understanding what's going on. It's like that. It's like there's a breakdown as well, but there's also joy. So sort of, triumph, yeah? This is the end. It's like, I survived. That's a good feeling. End of lockdown, we survived. Okay, so let's see if we can do that and not give so many beats, but da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da, so we make that it goes da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da, it sounds more exciting. Da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, all those repeated notes, da-da-da-dum, go towards the last one. Each time, and then it's so exciting. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Not da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah? So think about them. Or from here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Feel it. Exactly. That's right. Commit. Very good. And this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da is like triumphant, isn't it? It's trumpets. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Say hooray. Right?
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. It's everything. It's all the whole orchestra. But there at the top of the scale. That's exciting. That's so much more exciting. So, whenever you're doing anything, please, as I was saying to Harvey too, please really believe yourself. You're very, very, very good pianist. You have everything. You have all the equipment. You just need to use it properly. And also to really believe that what you're saying is the right thing. Some people who have, especially younger students who have a lot of personality, who play and might not necessarily say the right thing, but because they believe it so much, it makes some kind of sense. It might not always be the right style, but they really believe it. And that's very interesting to listen to, because it's someone who really wants to say. You have it in there. You just have to open up. You did it. You did it. It was fantastic. And it's, as you say, you have all the technical equipment. You know exactly what you want to do. It's very hard. You've done a fantastic job. I'd love to hear you play the whole sonata at some point. It is a fantastic piece, to feel that this at the end of the war sonatas is there. It's so fantastic. And people who say they don't like Prokofiev, well, perhaps because they've not had the benefit perhaps of knowing the music in the same way as you. It's when you know it from the inside out, then you really understand it, and it's really exciting. And you have the right, you're very good, you're very well set up technically, so just use it. Use your tools well. Okay.
I will.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Great
Thank
pleasure.
you.
And thank you everybody for listening today. It's been a great pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited to work with such talented people, and it's really a big pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for those of you viewers listening, and I hope you'll join Oxford Masterclasses later in the week for other live-streamed events, because there are some interesting, fantastic masterclasses coming up with other professors and other wonderful pianists. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks, everybody.